Welcome to Shareholders of a Better World, brought to you by TBLI Group. At TBLI Group, we have an established reputation as an organization dedicated to building the ecosystem of global sustainability and impact investing. We're doing this through educating, advising, and facilitating transactions in global sustainability and impact business, as well as capital solutions for private companies, family offices, and fund groups. For nearly 25 years, TBLI Group has created a vertically integrated ecosystem of education to action through TBLI conferences and TBLI consulting. More about our company can be found at tbligroup.com. This webinar is brought to you by TBLI Foundation, which hosts educational learning experiences dedicated to a better planet. Through the foundation, we build sustainable communities by sharing the people and the experiences making a difference to so many of our lives around the world. Our weekly podcasts bring impact thought leaders that are doing and not only chatting. Now let me introduce my guest today. Arvind Narula is a dear friend and has been a champion in organic agriculture and the circular economy. He's going to share his experiences for the last 25, 30 years working in this space and being a true pioneer. For all of those who have signed in, if you would just briefly in the chat, just introduce yourself so we can say hello to you. And then also, if you have any particular questions, you can type it underneath in open questions. And what would be a win for you today? What would you like to get out of this? Greetings to Shep Rui, Eva Marie from Sweden, Ambreen Wahid from Pakistan, Thomas Eng, Shep Rui, Victoria, Glenn from Copenhagen, Alec Anderson, Johan, and the rest. So let's start our webinar this week. Thank you so much for joining us.
Long before Arvind Narula was the world's leading supplier of organic jasmine rice, before he was a steward of the environment, he was a social entrepreneur. From day one, he has partnered with the poorest farmers and workers, seeding an ever-growing business with health and ethics at its core. When he set out to launch a high-value rice business in 1982, Arvind, a member of WPO Thailand, was faced with a pivotal decision. Would he use large-scale industrial farms or employ family farms whose owners could barely scratch out a living?
For me, it was a no-brainer, really. If we could help the poorest people, why wouldn't we do that?
He contracted with the small farms, and to ensure the best yield of their high-end rice, Arvind provided the farmers with everything they needed, including plenty of chemicals. They managed every step of the chain, from seed to shipping, and the business grew globally. He often visited their operations personally, and in the 1990s, one of those site visits changed everything.
I saw a local farmer with an insecticide backpack while he was carrying a baby in the front. That pretty much changed my life. There were lots of birth defects in the villages, and I didn't want to be part of that anymore.
Because Arvind's company had a lean structure, he only had to consult his conscience before revolutionizing the entire business. As of that day, they were chemical-free. The organic operation proved even more profitable and grew into Ermot Limited, a fully integrated global agricultural organization that provides organic rice, chia, and coconut products around the world. Thousands of family farmers earn higher incomes and support for their labors than previous generations, allowing them to build schools and live prosperous lives. Ermot is continually evolving, with each project leading to at least 3 more, all zero-waste operations. The next project to launch, improvements to the coconut operation, is a perfect example. Arvind's team noticed the plight of the migrant workers who scale the trees to harvest the coconuts. Many live in abject poverty, leaving their families behind in hope of finding income. Arvind and his partners plan to build homes for the harvesters and are working with the farmers to add profitable crops that grow among their trees, tripling the yield from one plot of land, raising wages, and improving life for everyone involved.
It's an endless chain. Each time you create a project, 3 more emerge.
For his latest project, Arvind has joined forces with other members of WPO around the world, creating projects there in Thailand and as far away as Sierra Leone and Argentina. He is particularly proud of the project led by several members of YPO Next Generation, Hill Tribe Organics, under WPO mentorship. 5 interns from the YPO internship program helped launch the project, giving a remote indigenous people in North Thailand a chance to eradicate poverty by doing what they do best, raising chickens. Their Hill Tribe organic eggs sell for a premium in the best stores of Thailand. Hill Tribe has created a legacy in that small community, as well as within YPO and WPO. Each new project reaffirms Arvind's commitment to conducting business that benefits everyone in the chain and gives a hand up to hardworking people often overlooked. It also reaffirms a message he shares with fellow members.
You can make a lot of money while doing the right thing. You do not have to take everything off the table to make a profit. You can make a lot of money while doing the right thing. You do not have to take everything off the table to make a profit.
Arvind, please mute your microphone because we're hearing it double. So just mute it while the video is on.
How do I mute? I can't find the mute button.
In your settings, and then mute.
The cogwheel on the left.
The cogwheel on the left.
Okay.
Okay, so put on the next video, please. Yeah.
Over 150 million tribal people in 60 countries around the world live in remote areas, socially marginalized, often living on less than $5 a day. Hill Tribe Organics is a social enterprise working to empower tribal communities through organic agriculture with a small, delicious and nutritious solution. The organic free-range egg. HTO gives egg-laying hens to farmer families for free and contracts farmers to grow premium organic corn in the lowlands, which HTO buys and gives to the Hill Tribe farmers as feed. The farmers feed and tend the hens, and HTO buys the eggs at a fair price. HTO oversees organic certification and markets and sells the eggs. Since 2013, HTO has grown to reach almost 100 farmer families, impacting more than 500 people. And in 2016, an independent social impact assessment validated that HTO's inclusive business model doubles family income and makes it much more regular, allows extra spending, improves health, provides work that empowers women, preserves the community, improves the environment, proving that one little egg can move mountains. Hill Tribe Organics, beyond organic.
Okay, thank you, Arvind, for sharing those videos of your companies. You saw that gentleman with the child on his back using intensive chemicals. So was that the main trigger for yourself to realize I have to shift to organics, or were there a series of incidents that I can't imagine that it from one day to the next like a light switch, it changed?
Well, actually it was, and then at about the same time, my son, who was in high school at that time, for a class project, did an interview about farmers. We had thousands of families who worked for us. And I went with them to all the homes of these people, and we saw all types of problems from chemicals, deformed children, brain damage, you name it. And I just didn't want to be part of that anymore. And it took us a couple of years to switch over to becoming 100% organic. And we actually lost money for 7 years after that because of going organic. We were very early in those days before people really knew what it was. And but we stayed the course, and it paid off. I'm happy for it.
And how long has Ormot been operating as an organic producer?
Since the mid-90s. So, been around, as you heard me say at your conferences. This was before the word impact was invented. So it was an emotional decision, definitely not based on a good business plan. But we knew the writing was on the wall. In Asia, people didn't know what organic was, or at least the label. And but a lot of Asian farmers are by default organic because they just didn't have the money to buy chemicals. So we found the opportunity and used it.
And do you find it difficult to convince farmers, small farmers in Asia, to switch to organic, or is it, as you said, is it just a financial issue that they can't afford chemicals, so we'll go this way?
Well, the first approach always has to be based on an improved financial status for the farmers. Nothing else makes sense. You have to understand these guys are living hand to mouth. A whole family living on $150 a month. That's $40 per family member per month. That's a little over $1 a day. That doesn't make for any interest in the environment or anything else. They only become guardians of the environment once they have enough money to live on, and then understand that what they're doing actually helps themselves because they're not hurting their own family members. So we've had, impact audits done, very stringent ones, several weeks at a time, and it's proven that we have achieved what we set out to do. And
yeah. Is it a, let's call it, industry level profitable agricultural company, or is it below? Is it above? I mean, does organic provide a premium for you and the investors in your company?
Yes, absolutely. Because fortunately, organic food has a premium in the supermarkets, and that allows us to charge more for the product. But more, we have a circular economy approach to everything we do. So we don't waste anything. So we don't, for example, from our rice crop, we're the largest organic jasmine rice company in the world. From our rice crop, we use every part of the plant. So that means the farmer that sells to non-organic businesses sells only the rice. With our guys, when they sell us their crop, we use the husk, the bran, the byproducts from processing, and we have a zero waste approach to everything. And all of those things which are considered waste are actually revenue streams for us. That allows us to maintain high prices to the farmers. They can't, even those who've been with us for 20 years, farmers, knock on wood, never leave the project because it's worthwhile for them. We treat them with respect as partners, not as people who work for us. Even after 20 years, they're still kind of amazed as to why we would pay 40% above market for the same stuff that other people buy for a lot less. We can do that because of the innovation and the approach we take to the entire operation.
And the circular economy approach of using all waste for another part of the chain, Have you implemented that in along all of your products, or is this an aspiration that going forward you hope to integrate in everything?
No, we start off every new project with the understanding of what the add-on industries we will invest in will follow. So I'll give you an example. From our rice again, we use the straw or the husk to burn, to create steam, to provide energy for various operations, dryers, etc. And then what we haven't done, but will do, is extract silica from the ash of the husk. And one of my dreams is to make computer chips out of rice husk. And I tend to make my dreams come true because I'm a pretty stubborn guy. And then from the straw and husk, we've created the world's only organic tableware. And
You're manufacturing that now.
we're in pilot stage for that. And from the byproducts of the rice, from what would be sold for animal feed, we actually make gluten-free certified organic rice pasta. We're just launching an instant rice noodle operation as we speak. We extract the bran and make a supplement, a highly nutritious supplement from that. So it's endless, and those things actually have a greater value than the basic crop itself, and that allows us to treat the raw crop that we get from the farmers with much greater financial respect than others do.
With the egg business, the Hill Tribe organic eggs, which seems to be really simple, you give some chicks to a family, you give them the grain, and that leads to eggs, and you sell those eggs and give a better income. So I know that your strategy has always been the farmer must earn more money. There must be a value add. And is there enough value add in everything related to the food system that you can adapt this model, that the farmers can earn more money?
That's exactly what we do. So we have a bunch of different companies. The reason they're different companies is I have friends, especially within the YPO system, who've come to me and basically said, we want to do what you're doing. Can we join you? So instead of letting them into my family's own company, we start off new operations where newer partners can join. And the Egg Project is one such example. So this is probably the most satisfying out of all the projects. Totally crazy business model.
But it seems very idiot-proof. Anybody, can easily understand it.
Yeah, but
eggs, you don't have to leave the farm, you don't have to leave the property, and you'll get more money than being a day laborer. So a lot of people that I tell this project about, they say, "Wow, that's brilliant." It's very simple. It's not high tech. And it works. But what are the challenges? I mean, it sounds really easy. I'm sure it wasn't easy. What were the challenges in making HTO profitable?
So after 8 years, we turned the corner at the end of last year. It was the first month, November, where we broke even. So we've lost money for all those years. And the reason is that we bear every single cost. We provide the hens, the feed, the infrastructure, the personnel, everything for free to the farmers. And then we sell it as an organic egg at a very high premium in the market. And it's taken all those years for us to get to the volume that we needed to. So it's not something I would advise anybody with pure profit on your mind to do. This was totally a social operation. Having said that, it's now into phase 2, where we are scaling up dramatically and going into value-added products that will start bringing in the profits. But this is not the model I would ask investment bankers to take a look at. Not until now, anyway, where we're finally making money.
And did you find, I mean, from most of the social entrepreneurs that I speak to, everyone, 100%, practically 100%, they all say that the most challenging thing is raising the money. To find the investors that have a vision, and finding investors that are willing to wait 8 years for a project that will be profitable must be very hard. How do you find those investors?
Well, the saying is the bank is an umbrella when it doesn't rain. When it rains, the umbrella is gone. So
Okay.
that's true. Until you don't need the money, getting investors is difficult. Everybody's scared, and impact is, in its very nature, is higher risk than most other investments. This is why, a lot of people. I'll give you an example. I had 10 universities in Thailand who got together and asked to come to meet with us in Chiang Rai because they heard of what we do. And all of these guys were food science department professors. And they told me each one of them owned multiple patents on innovation in food. And nobody would take those to commercialize. Same problem. Everybody wants it to be proven before they put money behind it. So initial days were very, very difficult. Today, we have a lot of fund sources who come knocking on our door. But I spend a lot of time pointing them towards other projects that I think are worthy. But there are very, very few true investment banks or funds. And I don't know if that's wrong or right. The people who put their money into these funds want a return, and being a human being, you don't want to risk your wealth. So it's a challenging entire arena. Having said that, there are a lot of good fund sources. And we work with one, and I'm probably speaking out of school here, but we have an excellent partnership with a Dutch bank, Triodos, who are truly, truly impact-oriented. So they're probably going to be angry at me for mentioning them, but and I find them, one of the few people I've met in the world who actually put the money where their mouth is.
There's a couple of questions posed. One is about water scarcity from Haifa Lani, who's asking, have you considered using technology that conserves scarce water resources, as water security is a key issue for many regions? Do you have water issue problems? I would imagine rice uses a lot of water. Is that an issue that you're trying to address with your farmers?
So that's one question I get a lot, especially from investors who don't think that question through very well, at least as far as Asia is concerned. Asia grows rice during the monsoon season. During the monsoon season, all the fields are flooded. There's practically nothing else you can grow but rice. They don't have, during the wet season, monsoon season, which is just beginning now, they actually have an excess water problem, not the reverse. during the dry season, which is just ended, that is a serious issue. So there's a process, there's a technology called SRI, where you can grow rice with much, much less water, which we do try to initiate with as many farmers as we can.
And Christian had a question about the future of social entrepreneurship after COVID-19. How do you see the post-pandemic world in terms of sustainability and impact? Do you think it's going to take a big hit that people say, forget this, let's go back to, slash and burn?
So I had a discussion a few days ago with one of my clients in Europe, and he was very unhappy that all the rice that he gets from us was sold out. And he said, and his words were, "This is the most unfortunate way to have a windfall." So in the supermarkets, organic products are being sold out faster than you can imagine. And that's fear-based. That's people understanding that mistreating, using dangerous stuff is just not smart.
Mm-hmm.
So the answer is, it's given the impact of the organic world a big boost as far as we are seeing. So this is probably the best time for any of you who are listening today, who are investment people. This is one of your lifetime opportunities to invest in clean food. Because for a very long time coming, you and I and everybody else out there does not want danger food anymore. Anybody who can afford it will be willing to pay for cleaner food. And that is a lifetime opportunity.
France has set up a platform because they were running out of people to work the fields because migrant workers could not come into France anymore. Is that an issue with your farmers because of COVID, getting ill and not being able to work the fields?
Well, in Thailand, we've been very, very, very fortunate. We have a very intelligent Minister of Health, whom I know quite well, who does not care too much about what people think of him. And he's a hard ass who's put in very strong measures, and it shows in how well the country has fared throughout the crisis. And he's only putting in tougher measures, not less. So we're very blessed that we have a government that made good decisions, and we have a better situation than most countries.
Mm-hmm. And Daniela had a question. Have you ever tried crowdfunding for some of your innovative startup product lines?
I have not. I have not thought about it often. There's one project that is, and this is a sales pitch. I am involved in an informal think tank to try and solve the ocean plastics issue. And I won't name a bank, but it's a Swiss bank who invited me to meet with their board members to discuss my solution. And then, like it always goes, they told me if I could find an anchor investor, they would come in. But, I'm still beating that drum. And that might be a project that might be worthy of taking to crowdfunding.
Mm-hmm. One, Jasmine had a question. What are the challenges you're facing now during COVID-19? Is it transportation, logistics, things like that? So the farm availability or farmers to work the field is not an issue for you in Thailand. Are you having other challenges because of COVID-19, financial issues? But the way you're talking, it seems that the organic food sector is thriving and doing well. So are you having any challenges, supply chain issues?
No, we as I said, we're fortunate with the government's decision. Not we actually have a curfew at night in Thailand, but
Okay.
Logistics are not impacted by that. They continue to allow trucks and ships and boats to continue to run. So we actually don't have any. We have some problems in truck drivers. Sometimes we can't find enough drivers, but it's not serious.
Okay, so the COVID pandemic, other than you not being able to travel, has not been negatively impacting your business.
No, it's not. The only issue is having to work from home.
Okay,
Like everybody else.
That's not so terrible.
That's not so bad.
A couple of questions in the chat side. If you have a question, please post it in the question side. It'd be a lot easier than going through that. So do you use blockchain technology at all in your company activities?
So we have an internal process that we've developed over the last 3 decades, which is actually hard copy and now digitized, but it's an internal project. For example, our eggs, you can track every single egg back to the farmer who produced the egg through his hands. So those are based on feet on the ground technology, written onto paper, and ultimately put onto the computer. But it's not live.
There were 2 questions, one from Mary and Jaswan. Mary wants to know, how do you make your social impact project known by others and get noticed by investors? Are there any platforms that you're using, social media outreach or road shows or things like that?
Well, I depend on Robert to do that for
me. I'm your scout out there, cutting down the weeds and trying to, use a machete through the jungle to find the pearls.
Actually, I don't know if my partners are on the call here, but I'll tell you a little story. Ed, if you're listening, send me a WhatsApp to tell me not to talk about it. I have a very good friend who used to work for Chase in Mumbai in the old days, in the 80s and 90s. And one day out of the blue, at the hotel bar, he asked me for a job. And I told him, "You're crazy. We'll pay you $500. But he took it anyway and came to work for us for a few years. Went away and became, I won't tell you where, but he became a very big shop and continues to be. And then a couple of years ago, he came back to me and said, "Arvind, I want to come back." And I told him, "You're absolutely not. You're worth a couple of hundred times my worth." And he just wanted to come back, and he came back and joined us, and we started new operations together. Mm-hmm. We have a thing in our company. I have people who worked with me for 3 decades, lots of them. I have 36 people who married each other within the group, which means I lost 18 of them. The value system that you put in, and if you believe it, and people believe that you believe it, and it's true, why would anybody go anywhere else unless you don't pay them well? Mm. So we're blessed with very, very good people, and we attract good investors, good partners, and that's the path we continue to want to stay on.
Okay. I'm going to, we're getting a lot of questions now, so I'm going to throw a couple at you. So as a kind of part of the answer you just gave, one of the questions that Joseph wanted to know, how do you retain your best or good staff with respect to hiring strategies. And Yaswan wants to know, what are your key performance metrics for the business, and basically what kind of returns investors could expect. So if you could handle the hiring side, personnel, and returns, that would be great.
Well, the hiring, I think I just covered. We attract good people. We seldom have people quit. People find out very quickly if the value system they have matches ours or not. And if it doesn't, peer pressure gets them out, and we have very, very low percentage of people quitting. So we hire good people. I mean, like any other company, we look for people with the talents we need, but we look at the value system very, very deeply. And they don't, that barometer, they don't get past the first interview. The second question was
returns. What type of and metrics?
Let me start by saying every time we have a bank that comes and asks me what the exit policy is, I show them the door. It's got to be patient. We're not a bottom line oriented group. We make good returns, but our impact is very, very critical to us. And we obviously we don't invest in crops. So let me answer that question a different way. If you go to a supermarket and you need to buy, there's 30,000 different food products in there. When you find a product that does not have an organic counterpart, that's your investment opportunity. So if you have a chocolate bar, particular type of chocolate bar, that's a bad example, but oats or whatever, and you can't find organic oats, then all you need to do is go out there and grow the organic oats, because there's a demand for that because they don't already exist. It's as simple as that. So, and what that always means, and you can look at the diversity in price between an organic and non-organic food category of any sort, the difference in price is always large, and that in there is both your profit and the profit that you give to the farmers who grow the primary crop to make that food product. Whether it's beef or it's rice, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
So you start off at a high percentage point already.
What are your main markets? Daniela was asking that. And if you can touch on, are you able to or measuring your environmental or social impact?
So our main markets are, the largest markets for anybody in the world are China and the EU. The USA and the EU, and we're just entering China, which we think will become a much larger market for us. But we sell all over the world in most major countries.
And the other question was measuring environmental and social impact. I like your response about people who start a conversation about exiting the company. They haven't even entered the company yet. They're already talking about exiting, but that's often the case with traditional investors. So are you able to measure your environmental and social impact? Are you looking at that?
Yes, we do measure it. We keep very deep records of all of our activities. We don't normally publish it unless somebody asks for evidence. In the case of our eggs, the French university HEC sent 6 master's degree students to come and live with our communities, the Hill Tribe communities, for 6 weeks without our interference, and drew up a very deep impact report 2 years consecutively. And it looked like we paid them to write it.
Christoph Klein is interested in learning about investing. His question is: do you plan to issue impact bonds or new equity IPO so that his funds can invest?
So I would probably have you speak to my partner Ed, who's the finance guy. We take on partners into new projects. We have a couple of new initiatives every year
Mhm.
that require funding. So this year, for example, we're putting up uh, a plant to make home compostable bowls for instant noodles made out of rice husk, and they'll be the only certified organic bowls in the world.
Wow.
Yeah, so we are in discussion with a couple of people who want to invest in that. But if you are impact oriented and you're not going to ask me what the exit policy is, uh, send me an email. And we're setting up the other thing that, and any of you who want to take a look and do this yourselves, you're welcome, is all the seasonings that go into all the snacks and foods in the world. Very difficult to find organic seasonings. And because of our own needs, we're setting up organic seasonings operation, which means we have to grow 20 different types of crops with the farmers and process them into seasoning. So that is another project that we will be looking for funding for.
Mike was asking, are you using any e-commerce platforms for B2B or B2C?
Just about to start, we're launching a rice-based supplement in the US. It's taken us a long time to develop an extract. And within this year, we'll be launching a B2C platform in the US or globally
How,
in the US.
how in a place like Thailand, which was maybe not a big market for organic, but if we take Asia in general, what has been the growth of the organic food market in Asia?
Substantial, starting from a very low base, of course, and much later than the Western economies. But the growth is substantial and speeding up.
And do you get a lot of requests from the major retailers and supermarkets looking to source more organic product? I mean, is it hard to get in the door, or is it that do they reach out to you, or do you need a large external sales force to make the sales?
Well, we are fortunate in that we're the number one organic egg brand in Thailand. We're also the first. So we took all the supermarket buyer groups up to see the hill tribes. And we told them if you want entry, well, supermarkets treat their shelf space as real estate and they calculate the returns by square inch. So we told they charge you for entering, they charge you for every which way they can. And we told them if you charge us all those fees, basically you're going to hurt the farmers. So they understood and we got in because of the operation that we run. And because on the back of that, we have an entry for all of our other products. So we've been fortunate. In the West, we don't sell into stores directly. Our distributors in the different economies do that, but they do use our story to enter easier than most others can.
And what is your large ambition? Because I know you're always thinking up new product lines, but what would you like? Are you looking to expand production in other Asian countries, in Vietnam and Cambodia and Laos, Philippines, Indonesia, or anything like that? Or do you want to grow organically, or are you looking to grow much faster than the music?
So we have done several projects in Sierra Leone, in Tanzania, in Cambodia, in Myanmar, in Laos. All of them well, except Sierra Leone because of Ebola, we had to pull out. But all the others collapsed, partly sometimes because of government issues. More management from a distance was an issue, so we've decided not to go outside of our region in Thailand for now, except for the Hill Tribes Eggs project. So we have recognized that the Hill Tribes in Thailand, from China to Indonesia, are the most marginalized societies in these countries, and we want to multiply or Xerox that project to all the Hill Tribe societies in the region.
Valerie wanted to know, is Ormat reusing or transforming wastewater with respect to circular economy as feedstock for fertilizer or for renewable energy or clean water? Do you address the wastewater side of your business?
We do. We do. We don't use much water in our operations after the crop has been harvested. Very, very little water. But we do reuse it, and we are planning an organic fertilizer factory. And when we wash the rice, some nutrients come off the rice, and that would go into the fertilizer operation. We do produce our own fertilizers using our own IP, which includes snails, and we get the farmers. So when we first started that project, we told our farmers to raise farmyard animals, and we told them we'd buy excuse my French, we'd buy the shit from them. And they thought, they called us the crazy foreigners buying crap. Today, every village in the north of Thailand has a little organic fertilizer production of its own for its own society, all the farmers that are in our project. So not only do we make fertilizers, the farmers now can and do make their own organic fertilizer, every society.
And I mean, you're part of a group of high net worth investors and entrepreneurs. I'm sure many of them say, hey, this is really great. How do I get involved in this? You must get a lot of requests to come, speak. What do you find from all of these investors and entrepreneurs? What is the trigger to get them to really invest in the impact space? What have you found the most effective way of getting them on board?
In my case, they've all actually come to me. I haven't approached anybody for investments. Mm-hmm. So they already have determined for themselves that they want to be giving back in some form. And then they understand, they come and talk to me, and they understand that not only are they giving back, but they're actually improving their own net worth through joining operations with our group. So I continue to believe, as you know, Richard, every time when I speak at all these different events, that it has to be profitable. Charity is one thing, but inclusive business, impact investment, the word investment means return. Mm-hmm. And the simple thing is they understand what to me impact is turning hope into expectation. And that's what most of these people who come to join us want. And when they understand that through an economically viable investment, they can turn the hopes of the marginalized parts of society into expectations of a better life, that's something they would be willing to put money into.
And what for you has been the greatest frustration because I meet a lot of pseudo billionaires and pseudo millionaires and pseudo impact investors who love to talk about it. And what I always was admired you is that you don't have time to talk about it because you're busy digging the holes. That has always been a frustration of mine. The ones doing the most are talking the least, and the ones doing the least are talking the most. So, what has your frustration been in your business, in your impact investing journey?
Well, I can't grow fast. I wish I was younger. Had more work to do more. There's so much to do. I just can't move fast enough to cover enough portions of society, to grow enough, to access enough shelf space for new products, and to include more families into the different things that I think need doing. But the biggest thing that keeps me up at night is the ocean plastics today.
Mm.
And I know there are solutions, but the 5 gyres, those of you who haven't looked at it, go to 5 gyres, the number 5 GYRES.org. 5 islands in the world, each one of them larger than the state of Texas, all plastic. International waters, nobody takes accountability for them. And everybody is looking at it as a problem. I've approached it as an opportunity to find a way to make that into wealth. And that, I believe, is the only solution. So my regret is I don't know if I have the ability or time or can find the people who put money behind solving that problem. I'm working with the Chula University in Thailand, and I've challenged them to make Thailand into the little country that cleans the world's oceans. So people are talking, but it's always difficult to find people who are actually willing to fund something like that. But our farming operations, which have very clear result probabilities, are easier to fund. But something like that is more difficult for people to picture, and therefore be willing to put money behind.
How could the audience that is listening to this, and also the many who will listen to it after we publish it in a couple of hours on our YouTube channel, what can they do to help you specifically?
Well, those of you who are actually interested in investing in ag-based impact projects, come talk to me. We have a lot of stuff in the pipeline. I'm happy to spin off new projects. We have the entire infrastructure. We have over 3,000 families who work for us and growing every season. And multiple crops already, multiple projects, all of them viable, profitable. For those of you who have the ability to do something yourselves, I'm happy to advise you in any which form, help you structure something that you want to do on your own, in your own countries, spaces that you choose to work in. I have over 3 decades of experience, and Robert will confirm that people know me, and I can open doors.
No, you're extremely authentic. You're definitely one of the authentic eccentrics within our network, and we're very honored and happy that you're able to find the time over here. And also, it's just incredible. Every year, you tell me of this new product line that you're doing, and you actually deliver. And you sent me a beautiful video that you're now producing fortified rice noodles, because most of the noodles from the noodle soups don't have any nutritional value. How did you decide to create a whole new product line for rice noodles?
So it's actually an organic instant noodle. So instant noodles, some of you may know, is the world's largest single food product. More than 140 billion with a B meals sold a year. There's no greater volume product on earth.
Wow.
Almost none of it is organic. All of it has a reputation of being a bad thing to eat. So all children all over the world are eating stuff that, in my mind, is not safe. And we have the opportunity to develop this again with new investor partners who have come in, and it's taken 10 years to come to fruition. But I sent Robert a video yesterday. Yesterday was our first trial run, and we start delivering to the world next month. So there's plenty of stuff like that. Yeah, just come talk. If you really want to do something, come talk to me. Plenty of stuff to do.
No, we would all love to head out to Thailand and hang out with you as soon as the lockdown allows any type of travel. We'll be the first one coming to visit you. We're coming to the end of this webinar. I want to thank everyone who showed up. I want to thank Arvind Narula for taking the time and sharing his experience and also his vision. Arvind is a great guy who basically is busy digging the holes and doing the work that a lot of people talk about. So I admire him, and he's a dear friend. For those of you that want to support our work, please go to tbli.org and make a donation to the TBLI Foundation so we can continue doing all of these weekly webinars. We'll be expanding to podcasts. This video will also be available on our YouTube channel as well as on our website. It takes about an hour to process, and then it'll be uploaded. You will all get an email notification telling you that it's now available and you can access it. And if you had questions and they were answered, you'll see a timestamp that you can go directly to answering that question. So Arvind, Sam, our producer over here, thank you all very, very much. And I hope to see you all next week, where we will have Stephen Brenninkmeyer talking about climate finance and his journey in the impact phase. Arvind, stay well. A big hug to you and to Karen.
Thank you very much, Robert. Thank you for the opportunity and the honor. Thank you, everybody, for spending time with us.
Thank you. Stay well. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.